everybody. If you're on live, I always ask this, but if you're on live, please say so. Come say hello. I'm really excited. I have lots of notes. Some of you have probably heard a version of this before if you're someone that comes to a lot of classes. But it's really kind of fun because I haven't taught this exact class for over a year. So if you're here live, again, please come on and say hello. Otherwise, I feel like, am I talking to no one? So say hello once you hop on. And if you have specific questions or comments about this, please put it in the chat so that I can see it and address it on the call. But I'm going to go ahead. This is, hey Siri, this is where I was. A lot of you read my post that I put up yesterday about feeling boxed in. Like, I don't have the money to get a mentor. We don't have the money to even put my kid in dance. I barely have enough money. Like, it was one of those places that just felt boxed in. It was the best way that I can explain it. It's just like, I don't have options. I felt really caged in. I felt like a lot of the tension between, me and my husband was always about like how we use our time and money, and we were kind of like judging each other. I'm thinking back to, this is like 8 years ago, before this journey began for me, where I was determined to change. I'm like, I see people. If this is you, let me know, please, in the comments. Like, I have thought these thoughts. I have seen these things. Like, I see people doing this stuff, and I'm not necessarily comparing, like, I should be them. And yet it's like, of course I want to go on this cool vacation with my kids. That looks amazing. Of course I want to go and be able to afford the food to feed my kids without constantly worrying about the budget. Of course I want to maybe have better health, I want to have better, motivation for myself. I want to feel more energetic. I see this. I was seeing other people, and I didn't know it then, but I know it now, and you may resonate with this. But then I had a belief within me that I could not identify at that time. And actually, it's just been recently that I've identified that this was what I was feeling back then, was that I knew that if something was possible for one person, it can be possible for anybody else. I really, truly believed that deep down. A seed had been planted, and I thought, if she can do that, so can I. Like, I don't feel like I've been neglected or had some great handicap. Like, I'm like, if somebody has figured this out, there's a way to do it. And I want to know. I want to know what this is. So I just feel like I had tried a lot of things. I started reading some personal development books. I started listening to good podcasts. I started exercising. I started to feel some things change. And I went a couple of years like that, feeling like I can do this by myself. I can do this on my own. I'm good, right? And yet I found myself a couple of years later with the same struggles. Like, here we are trying to pay off our credit card again. Here we are using our tax returns to just pay off debts that we had to make over the year and our medical bills. Like, here we are again, not having money for experiences I highly valued and wanted to share with my family. So if you are here and you are feeling like you've been in that place that you can relate with some of that, please let me know. And if you're watching the replay, put it in the comments. Yes, I feel this. I've been there. I would like to really know how you feel about this. What are your thoughts? What are some of the things that you've seen happen over and over and over and over in your experience that you're like, okay, I'm done with this. I really don't want to see this repeat again. Like, this isn't cool. Okay. I also was on a teeter-totter of sorts with my self-esteem. I had this idea that if my house was clean and if my husband was happy and if it wasn't, 400 pounds overweight, then things were good. Then it was good. I used that word, good. And then I would say, well, if I'm yelling at the kids, if I feel like everyone's avoiding me because I'm emotionally struggling, the house isn't as clean. You know what I mean? Like, these feelings of like, maybe I'm not even a good mom. Why did I even have kids? Like, they don't deserve this. What am I even doing? I feel a deeper call. Like, I'd like to contribute to society. I'd like to create something amazing. I'd like to do these things. And yet, it was just like it couldn't ever happen. And part of that was modeling. I didn't see anybody in my life do great things alongside family. I don't mean that if you don't do something outside your family, that means you didn't do something great in your life. But I know the ladies that join this group because you've been specifically invited to be here and you accepted the invite. And we talk about in Messenger with you before you join this group about the struggles of wanting more inside of motherhood. You aligned with that idea. That's why you're here. And so the general public doesn't get this video. You get it inside the Elevated Mother Collective, because this is where we are elevating the consciousness of mothers who feel the call, mothers who want to answer the call, and they're struggling to figure out how to do it. Okay. So today I'm going to give you the 4-part formula. And if you're ready for it, you're taking notes, I would love to hear it. I'm going to see if there's any more comments. My internet has been crazy. So if you are not even seeing this video, I would like to know. Because maybe I'm talking to myself. If you're ready, please drop in the comments. I'm ready. Because I know that when you get to this place where you've climbed on the wagon over and over and over, you've started again, you went back to the beginning, you restarted that workout program, you restarted this money program, you restarted tightening your belts. Like, I know what that feels like. How many times are you going to do that? Okay. So if you're ready, drop in the comments. I'm ready. And if you're on the replay, be sharing your thoughts. We want to hear that. All right, my notes. I'm looking at my notes. I want to make sure that we really dive into this. So the first part of the formula, and guys, this is what we do in the Elevated Mother experience. Like, if you've had a call with me, you've probably heard some of these steps. But the first part of this formula, okay, let me back up just a little bit. So after I figured out that I was going through this cycle of stop, go, on, off, my spirit clearly was like, Robyn, you're missing a piece here. There's something missing. And I went searching for it. And you know what's interesting is through this journey, I had started a network marketing business, and it was in health, and I was helping these clients, and it was fun. It was really great. I enjoy my time. I still have these clients. It's still passive income for me. It's really great, right? But I noticed that the clients that had the very most success were the ones that didn't just follow the plan. They actually were talking to me when we'd have our conversations about mindset. They were talking about how we're changing how we see food. They were talking about how we changed how we felt stressed in our lives, how we were coping, these different things. And I was learning this from my coach and my own healing journey. And so I thought, wow, it's not just, health and fitness that help us move forward in life. This is how we think about our health, how I think about myself in fitness, how I think about my money, how I think and how I believe about these things that made a bigger difference. These clients that were succeeding the very most weren't the ones that were the most on top of the program. They were changing how they were thinking about themselves. And I was like, whoa. And I moved into, I got this idea came to me to create a course about teaching moms how to make money online. And I created a course. It was great. I had 10 students go through it. It was great. We had great success. We had great testimonials. And I realized yet again, though, that the few that really went on to really succeed in what they were trying to do were changing their minds. They were changing how they thought. And I was like, hang on a minute here. What have I done that's different that I changed my thought? What was this process? I've seen it. I've read enough books. I've been with different coaches. It's the same thing every time they talk about. So I started mapping this process. And that's where this 4-part formula came from. Okay. So just so you know, this wasn't just came out of the sky one day. This is years of experience and seeing my own clients oh, this is a thing. This is a consistent pattern. My brain has a very high superpower of picking up on the patterns of words, beliefs, systems, ways that people do things. And so I thought I got a message here about the broadcast. So I wanted to make sure I looked at it, but it looks like we're okay. Again, if you're here, say hi, let me know you're here. So the first parts of the formula, if you're taking notes, and I do have a visual I'm going to show you here in a second, that will kind of show it all for you. And I can put that visual, well, I'll just keep it in the video. But the first part of oh my gosh, words are hard today. The first part of the formula is mind mapping. And I used to use language that said it was changing your energy. And that's true, but the only way I can help you shift from a fixed spot to a more possible energy and being open is to understand how you think. So the first part of this program, the first thing that you need to do is start noticing your brain patterns. Why do I do what I do? What just happened there? What are my triggers? What's going on here? What are the things I am not okay with in my life? And why are they not okay? Okay, this is the first part of the Elevated Mother Experience. The first 2 weeks, we figure this out. We start mapping your mind. We start getting it down, because when I started to understand the cage that I was in, I had built all these little pillars, just like cage bars. Well, I believe this, so I can't do that. Well, I believe that if I have children, I can't go and do business. I believe that men should be the chief owners in the family. And I believe, I had all these different things that then created kind of the filter with which I made decisions. And I had to identify those things. I had to literally map my thought processes to find out which beliefs were holding me hostage, which patterns my brain went down to find fear, sadness, comparison, whatever it was that was holding me hostage from moving forward. And it was fascinating. And if my clients is the same, I'm like, oh, you're seeing this. And they're like, oh my gosh, you never do that. Right? I can't tell you guys how exciting it is on a client call when we become aware of a pattern of theirs. This is a pattern of your thinking. This is a pattern of this belief system. Now we can either dissolve the belief system, we can shift the pattern of thinking, whatever it is, right? I have skills and processes all included in the program of how to do that. But I know that everyone on this call isn't feeling like you know exactly where you're going and you know how to get there and you have all the guidance to do that, because you wouldn't be listening to this call if you were. If you were already on your way, you wouldn't even be in this group. There's a reason that you're here. I don't invite myself into your life. There's a reason we came in contact. Your energy said, I'm searching for something. You're here. I'm really curious as to why. If you want to put in the comments. Like, what are you here to find, right? Where are you on this thing? But your current belief systems, your current understandings is keeping you where you are. And the first thing you want to do is start mapping why you think the way that you think. Now, why is this important? Again, brain training begins, our brain starts recording at like 8 weeks gestation. It starts recording activity. It starts thinking about how many heartbeats you have, and it really does start recording that early. We start recording long-term memory somewhere between the ages of 2 and 3. Like, that means for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, you've been processing information. And if you haven't had a guide or been aware of your development, likely you've just been on autopilot from values you set in place when you were 6 and 7. And if you're trying to live an adult life on belief patterns from when you were 6, all beliefs and values that will be your core happen before age 7. If you haven't gone through and emotionally matured those thought patterns, it becomes very frustrating to be like, what is my problem? I feel, you use words like it's stuck. I feel like I can't get beyond this. Of course, because a 7-year-old can't do that. You know what I mean? We have to mature your belief systems up to where you are with the experiences that you have. We have to learn what those patterns are. We have to learn how to disrupt them. This is mind mapping. Okay, mind mapping, understanding the cage that you've built to understand how to dismantle it is so, so important. So once you know that, once you know how your mind is working, you know where your intent has been. I can't tell you how empowering this is when you understand that because you had this belief system, you put an intention there that was so clear that you couldn't allow anything else past it. And if you're sitting here going, I'm not even understanding this, that's okay. I didn't either until I was in it. And I could go, oh, because this is my pattern, I have a clear intent to do this. Interesting. So step 2, once you know how your brain's working, what your intentions are, where your values are, you can get really clear on what's really important to you. Because too many people set goals that are shiny objects in the sky. This some amazing mentor that I'm sure is amazing said this should be your goal. So they shoot for goals that others have set out that aren't personal to them. They don't work with their personal value system. And so they will never achieve that goal in the way that that person has set it out to be. So step 2, after we've mind mapped and figured out your intent, then we go, what's really important to you? What is really important to you and your intentions? Now that we've broken down and we can see your belief systems and your emotional maturity, what is important to you? Is family the most important to you? Is God most important to you? Is trust most important to you? Is honesty most important to you? What is so important to you in your life? What is so important to you? Because once I understood why my mind was doing what it was doing, it was time to shift things in the direction of my dreams. Now that I could see this is really important to me. And one of the most important things to me was making a contribution to humanity. And having this consciousness become aware with most mothers, because I started to understand that when a mom becomes uncaged, I learned this thing about generational energy, that I could break cycles. There were cycles going on within me that had been going on for 2, 3, 4, 5 generations of lack, money, dishonest husbands, just these different things that had happened for generations. And I was experiencing thought patterns that were energy from generations back. And when I realized what was going on and I started being like, well, these are my intentions, these are my goals, I started to find the beliefs that weren't even mine. They were like given to me by my grandma or my mom or my dad, and I could get rid of them. And I could finally create goals. I could get really clear on like, this is what aligns with me, is this kind of feeling, this kind of work, this works with me. This works with how my brain works. This works with all the other things. And it was awesome. I started to really understand what was really important to me in my health, my home, my relationships, my money situation, all the things. So if you're feeling like you reach for a goal and it starts to feel icky and you're starting to sacrifice your family and you're starting to spend money where you think you shouldn't be spending it, you're having this soul dissonance. It's this discord. You just can't feel good about it. You cannot be motivated. You can't move forward when you're in that. Okay. And so once you get clear on what you really want, what's your real intent for living, how do you really feel and love about yourself? The third step is creating goals that match that. Creating goals that match how your brain works, that match what's important to you. You create these goals that are so clear with intent, energy cannot help but make it happen for you. When you are so aligned with your goals, and it can be a goal that's a money goal or a business goal or a family vacation or whatever it is, it does not matter what the goal is. Because here's what happens. When you set a goal that aligns, that works with how you think, it feels really good. And then I have a superpower for being able to reverse engineer goals and say, okay, we create a step-by-step plan that works with, because I've been with you, right? In the EMX program, we have one-on-ones, we have group classes, we have this stuff. I've seen you go through the first two. The number 3 is to create those goals that align. And I go, okay, based on what we know and all the data we gathered in the first few weeks, let's look at, this is what you're going to do the first 3 months. This is what you're going to do the next 3 months. And within a year, you will accomplish those goals. It's inevitable. Okay. So setting goals that match your thinking patterns, your intentions, things that were clear, creates a plan that will work with you, not against you. Like, you can really say, what do I want to do? Why am I here? What contribution do I want to make? What legacy do I want to leave behind? What are my gifts? What data have I already gathered? And I've learned how to now, I just live by faith that if I'm so clear on this, God is like, yeah, I know exactly. God can't guide feet that aren't moving. And when you are moving in a very clear direction, have you seen those people? You're like at the store and you see this woman or this man that is just like, they are so clear that all they need at the grocery store is that one pack of lunch meat, and they march straight there. They march straight to the checkout line and they're gone. Everyone sees them. You can feel the energy of that person walking through. People part the way. When you see that lady pushing her cart, everyone parts the way for someone that is so clear on their intention. It's interesting because energy works that way. And when we get into the goal setting piece, that's where I had to learn to employ energy work. And we bring energy work into the elevated mother experience. When we're setting our goals, we're setting out your path, and you start going on this. What's so cool is when you have that clear intention and you start moving on your goals, we start to see the gaps. We start to see either lessons you haven't learned yet, belief systems that have kept you from learning a lesson, of ingesting and really like growing in a certain area. So we start moving on this path and the gaps start showing up. And that's where it gets so exciting, because I'm like, oh my God, this is why you didn't make your first 5,000 yet. You've got this thing, and we clear it up. We work on it. There's a specific worksheet. I send you this, this workbook when you become an elevated mother, and we've got the worksheet right here. You work through it. You can have all of this stuff. It's downloadable, and you just work through it. It's so awesome. Let me take this back. You can't change what you don't know. And so if you've been in this cycle, there's something you don't know. If you feel doubt often, Doubt is only a signal that you don't know something. It's never a signal to stop or you're doing something wrong. Doubt is always a signal from the brain that you don't know something. It's a time to become a student. It's a time to start learning. Okay? Realize everything you've done up to this point was the right thing, because you would have made a different choice if you had known something different, right? Lean on that. But now that you know, I always say the elevated mother experience is a hinge point, because once you know all this, you've experienced it, you've gone through the program, you know all the stuff, you can't not know it. You can't not understand some of the core things within you, and understanding how to then move forward and not be afraid of the little gaps and holes that show up. You now have the tools forevermore. This is a universal process. You can use this with your kids. You can use it with any other thing you try to do in your life. You see these little things show up and you go, oh, now that I know my mind map, now that I understand my beliefs, now that I understand my intent, this is showing up. What am I going to do with that? I'm going to take it to this worksheet. I'm going to do this thing, got this work to do. I know how to do this. And the fourth part of the formula, you guys, is the accountability and resources. I can't tell you how valuable an accountability group has been. Having a coach that has her eyes in my life. I have 4 coaches right now. Like, one is like touches my mindset, one touches my energy, one is strategy. Like, she is like helping me with strategy and all the different ways to do it. Like, having people in going, wait, why did you do that? Tell me about that. I'm curious about this process you just went through. I'm curious about this feeling. I'm curious about that belief you hold. And really asking me those questions has been so invaluable. The accountability you'll get in EMX with the one-on-ones, the classes, like all this stuff, I will have my eyes on your patterns. You will be able, like, it's inevitable. I love one of my clients who's now in our advanced program called Solid Ground. She said, she's like, you know, I'm looking at this process and I'm looking at everything I've done. Success is inevitable with this. And I was like, right? Ever since I've been employing this formula, and I redo it like every 90 days. I go through, where am I at with my belief systems? Has anything new come up? Where am I at with my intentions? Where am I at with my clarity? Where am I at with my goals? Or everything's still like matching and aligning? Like, I reevaluate and reflect now. I used to only do it yearly. Then I started doing it every 6 months. And now it's like every 90 days, I do a little reflection. Now it only takes me like an hour to kind of go through these things. In the beginning, it took me a while, days and weeks, because this was new. If you've been a client in my program, you can testify of that the first time it's like, what? But it's so beautiful. It's so empowering to know your own data, your own information, what goals matter to you. It's no longer, why can't I do that? It's, oh, I can do this and I know how. And I see the exact steps how. Robyn's got me on here. Like, I've got your back if you've got your back. Let's go. Let's link arms. Let's do it together. Like, I'm sharing this with you because I know where you're at. And I know you've done so much work to even accept these kinds of ideas. This is like the final hump. It really is for so many people that have felt stuck or in a cycle for a long time. Learning these things about yourself and how you function the very best makes your success inevitable. There is another way of living. There's another way of setting goals. It's not about push energy, and it's not about like setting a checklist and checking off the boxes. If you have a belief system that doesn't support some piece of it, it doesn't matter how many times you check the box, you won't be able to move past far. It's just the truth. So at the end of the day, how long are you going to let this go on? And what's at stake? I was just talking to a mom the other night that was considering the program, and she's like, I don't know how to put myself first. My kids run my life. And I've heard that from a lot of people. And I said, well, Is that what you'd like to have your sons and daughters see how this is? Because parental modality, like parental modeling, is how most kids gain their first value systems. And I will share with you, it's very, very powerful to see my shift become a ripple effect in my children. I know that I'm breaking cycles about how a woman functions in a marriage, how a woman functions in the home, how a woman functions in the faith community, all of those things. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud of how my daughters are showing up in the world. I'm proud of how my sons are showing up in the world. You can do this. And if you've tried and tried and things are not changing and you're like, I don't want to model this anymore, you might need some help. I thought I could do all things by myself, but man, having help made it go so much faster, like so much faster. I'd like you to consider having a chat with me. If you'd like to have a chat, schedule a chat. You never know. We don't know. And I'm not going to pitch anything to you on this chat. We're going to find out where you are, where you want to go, and why you think you're not there yet. And I can offer resources and insight. And if you're like, I'd really like to talk about the elevated mother experience, then we can. So let me, I want to share this. Oh, now I can't even see it. Can you guys see that? I hope you can see that. This is the 4-part formula. If you want to take a screenshot, if you want to take notes, this is it. Out. It's, you might say, wow, that's simple. It's powerful. It's empowering. So once you've done the EMX, like you are now over the hump. Like this is your last leap to getting there. Wherever there is for you, this is like, it's just a proven path. And if you like the way I teach, if you relate with my stories, because there are other coaches that teach similar patterns. I'm learning that how your coach teaches, the stories she says, the way her voice is, what she believes matters to your success in a program. I tell you how many people come to me and say, well, I invested with this lady. I just really felt pushed to do it. I really felt, like I just did it in a moment of scarcity. And I'm not loving the push energy I'm feeling from this program. Like, guys, get aligned. Really listen to a coach, listen to their words, listen to what they've said. And if you've enjoyed multiple of their trainings, then let me get off this screen. Where's my Zoom? Where are we? I don't know how to stop the screen share. I've lost my thing, guys. So I guess we will end with this screen because I don't know how to get it back onto the other screen. And that's okay. Learning to do it, learning to do that. So I hope that this has helped you guys. These are the 4 steps we go through in the program. This is the formula that I take myself through, and have the most amazing weekend. I hope that I hear from you. We get to chat, and we'll see you soon. See, I can't get back to Zoom to even end the program. Maybe I got it.